before we start,
I filed a criminal complaint against some public officials here, and they informed me that only prosecutors can file criminal complaints in the state of Colorado.
Really?
They also said only prosecutors can file interlocutory appeals in the state of Colorado. I'm like, wait a minute, how can the one person who can't have his rights violated be the only guy who can file an interlocutory appeal?
Right.
That makes zero sense to me at all. But that's how they do it here.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's going to take somebody with half a brain to teach them that doesn't really work that way. So we'll see how it works.
I appreciate it, Kurt, a lot. Great. Kurt, let's see you healing.
And yeah, I'm the only living case in medical history with a bifurcated liver and a 4-centimeter hole in the middle of my chest because the cops picked me up with a billy club. They stuck a billy club up underneath my rib cage and picked me up about 8 or 9 times till I passed out. Caused a 4-centimeter hole between my hepatic and my portal vein. And it kicked me in the liver enough times to fracture it in 2 pieces. And I'm the only case in medical history that was not found by autopsy.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
so
Kurt,
evidently, the big man upstairs keeping me alive for a reason.
Yeah,
not sure what, but yeah, here I am.
I know exactly. Hey, it's AllDayLive. And you might be watching us at night, but that might be during the daytime that we film it, and you see it sometime later on. It doesn't matter because we're archived now at seattlecommunitymedia.com, and we're also at archive.org, and now at amazon.studios.com as well, because we're just trying to get our messages to you that you can get back to us if you want to get a message out as well, because we're public access, community access TV here in the Northwest in Seattle, seattlecommunitymedia.com. But since the last 4 years, we've been archived. Wasn't before, but is now. It's very powerful, and your shows go out on the search engines, by the way. And it's like we're being kind of lulled to sleep as a people. I think we need more communication, maybe even this type of public access TV. That might work too. That might make a difference if somebody signs up for the community access scheduled classes here to learn to become one. Nobody has in 6 months. That's another story. But anyway, I can only do what we do. I think TV is really for us to be able to be seen and heard by us, not special interests that broadcast corporate-wise. And by the way, it seems to be that public access TV is being taken over by syndicated religion broadcast. There's maybe 10, 12 local broadcaster TV producers here in Seattle left. What happens when we're gone? What's going to happen to your reach around the world? The gift of being able to broadcast online. That's interesting. And
hallelujah.
And we've got Kurt Riggin. Kurt is a tribal lawyer. He's a federal lawyer, and he's also the chief. And we're honored because I'm going to ask him exactly how. I don't know if ask you to spell it, but he's going to tell us the name of the tribe here in Washington. But
Kikiallus Nation.
Okay, let me go ahead, Kurt.
It's the Kikiallus Nation.
Okay, the Kikiallus Nation in Washington State. Kurt Riggin's about some odd number 12 years ago went with Lewis Ewing and Kenny Wayne, and he'll tell you. He'll get you up to speed on that. That you guys did what? And it was about our Constitution here in the state of Washington.
I don't think Kenny was there.
I don't know who was there. That's all right. You can tell us about it. And go ahead.
It was Lloyd Lewis, myself, Lloyd Smith, Lewis Ewing, me, and a few other guys. That my memory is not as good as it used to be, but that was back in 2001. And we went to the National Archives, and we went and pulled all the original constitutions for the states here, in the western states mainly, the ones we were interested in at the time. And we were doing research for a couple different tribes as well, including the Blackfoot tribe. I was doing research for them. And found some pretty interesting stuff. We found that there was no constitutions for the states anywhere to be found, anywhere in the National Archives. Really? Yeah. And so we're going, well, what the hell is this? You don't have any constitutions? You're supposed to have a handwritten one here on file. Well, we found that with the we found that written Constitution in a miscellaneous document file box that hadn't been opened since 1901. And it was miscellaneous document number, I believe, number 47, maybe, I don't know. No, miscellaneous document number 55, excuse me. So here in the miscellaneous document box, it hadn't been opened since 1901, so 100 years. I was the first guy to open that box in 100 years. Well, I ordered it up. Well, it's pretty interesting, actually. The story's even more interesting. We get to the front steps of the National Archives, and we flew all the way from Seattle, Washington, which is damn near as far as you can get and still be in the continental United States. We get to the front steps, and they said, sorry, we can't let you in unless you have your National Archives card. I said, great, where do we get those? He goes, on the second floor.
Hi, Ron. Hey, Kurt. Yeah.
Okay, well, how do we get that? He goes, it's not my problem.
Well, we're just doing the best that we can, just about whatever we bring into whatever we have to. So we're bringing this whole thing to the people to think about mind control weapons being used experimentally on American people. And Kurt, with you being a federal attorney, how would a federal attorney look at electronic weaponry being used experimentally on American people? Hundreds of millions of American people. What's our thoughts on that? Anybody thought about that? By the way, now it's time to think about it.
Tax dollars at work, man.
Right.
You know, there's some scary experimental stuff going on, and unfortunately, we gave them permission to do it.
Well, so far, we think we've given permission to do that, right? Derek, can you hear it? Okay, he can only hear through me.
I think it's gone from the experimental to the actual weaponry itself.
Yeah, check out Worthington. Check out the Supreme Court case out of Washington last month called John Worthington versus Westnet. And the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Mr. Worthington after he was raided, and he's a medical marijuana patient. The Navy flew a helicopter with a FLIR over his house and spotted his 4 growing lights. And the Westnet Drug Task Force and Kitsap County Sheriff's Office and NCIS raided his house. You guys ever heard of NCIS?
Yes.
Not just a TV show.
Naval Criminal Crime Scene Investigation Service.
Yep. Now, what the hell were they doing in a medical marijuana patient's house who's never been in the Navy? Yeah, that's a violation of what's called the Posse Comitatus Act, which says they can't use the military to raid civilian houses. They can't use the military to enforce civilian law, except during a state of emergency, like a flood or a fire or some kind of natural disaster, hurricane. Then, and only then, if the, governor declares it to be a, disaster area, then they can use military. But only then. Like they did in Katrina. They had military guys going and taking people's guns away from them. It's a state of emergency. The question that why in the hell do we have Navy personnel raiding a medical marijuana patient, with 14 plants?
We can't have the noise.
Well, that's kind of like asking why is CIA operating in the United States?
Well, it's not the CIA. That's where you're mistaken. The CIA doesn't operate in the United States.
Well, isn't
the NRA? The CIA anymore. If you look it up, the Denver Post ran a story a few years back that now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we had.
No, he was talking to Derek.
Okay, we're back.
Fixing the issue.
Well, yeah, in the Denver Post, they ran a story about how the CIA is now known as the NRA, the National Resource Agency, and they have an office here in Denver. How many people knew that?
I didn't know about that, but I did know about the NRO, which is the National Reconnaissance Office. As far as you're concerned, is that at the top of the intelligence apex, or is that just another one of those alphabet agencies?
It's probably just another alphabet agency. But, yeah, the NRA, National Resource Agency, not the National Rifle Association. Don't get confused, because they'd like you to be confused. They have an office in Denver, and I'm trying to figure out, why do we have a agency of the CIA, known as the NRA, in the middle of the United States when their job is foreign intelligence? Well, that's because they declared a war on terror. You know, and under RCW 1.69.090, which I think is about the Civil Liberties Remembrance Day. I think it was in 1942 or 1943. Basically, they had Executive Order 90660, I believe is what it was. And it said that the military now has jurisdiction over all civilian law and lives.
Oh, Jesus.
And as long as there's a declared war, that executive order is enacted. Okay? Well, they declared a war on drugs. Remember that?
Yep.
And then what was the other war? Well, then they declared a war on terror. So instead of declaring war on actual countries, which is required, they said, well, gee, we don't really have to declare war on a country. We'll just declare war on a concept.
Yep.
Drugs, terror. And next it'll be citizens.
Online
Or
piracy.
patriots. Actually, Lewis Ewing found in the judge's manual in Washington State, where it says right in the judge's manual that they are not to return the children of people who are considered patriots.
I just had Travelers Insurance state that I have been declined my, oops, I just lost my microphone.
Who's that talking? I can't hear.
I'll give you this document, hold on.
Anyway.
Liberty Insurance just declined my claim of $12,000 worth of electronic equipment being destroyed by microwave technology, weaponry, etc., vandalism, COINTELPRO, etc., because of an act of war being declared on Ron Gillman by the United States government.
Who's that talking?
My name's Ron Gillman. I have a group in Seattle. I've been.
Are you there?
I've been in the Mind Control Super Soldier Summit 2 years running now, on stage with Derek Robinson.
Are you listening to this?
I had $12,000 worth of merchandise, video equipment, VCRs, TVs, cameras, SD cards, all wiped out, broken, etc. And I claimed it because I had renter's insurance. They declined my claim because they stated it is an act of war on Ron Gillman by the United States government. And that shouldn't scare you more than...
That's where you're wrong, Ron. That's where you're wrong.
Oh, I got the piece of paper there.
It is an act of terrorism, my friend.
Well, it says an act of war on the paperwork they sent me. I had it FedEx because
it's terrorism.
Well, yeah, they're definitely terrorizing me. You and I both know that, with voice to skull all day, threatening, asking what child you want dead first in your head.
It fits the definition under their act on the war on terror. It fits their definition to the letter. And you can actually charge them based on that. Say, well, here's your own law under the USA Patriot Act.
Well, the only problem with that is that I'm fine.
You can't do this, and you can't do that, and if you do, you're
The only problem I find is finding a lawyer that doesn't get approached and get threatened with his life or his children's lives, you know.
Understand a word you're saying.
And we don't, you know, none of us are going to fall for this threat of, you know, imminent demise because we're all dead anyway with this persecution we're all under, being terrorized day in, day out. And when Geico stated that they would not give me my $12,000 to on my claim of damaged circuitry on every item in my house. I have 60 SD cards that are blank. 4 years of.
Oh, so they hit you with a EP, huh?
Oh yeah, oh, I've been hit with so much stuff. Anyway,
do you have a Faraday cage in your house?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a Faraday cage?
No, I've actually found another device that I'm working on right now. I am the person that found out about the degausser and the magnet that takes the targets away from your body. But I'm working on something else that I think is better than a Faraday cage. But regardless, the better than what I'm seeing is my friend, after being raped for 10 hours in the back of a van by none other than Snohomish County Sheriff's or the Linwood Police Department. And after being told not to take a report from the house I was living in Snohomish County because it was Ron Gillman by the sergeant at that time, I think his name was Bridget, and then having my hip busted after it was fractured 2 weeks earlier, this cop waltzes in after they put me to sleep at La Quinta Breakfast Bar. This cop comes waltzing in with 2 other cops witnessing, laughing on the countertop while this cop is busting my hip. Apparently, I'm lucky that I didn't bleed out and or have that bone go through my leg because it would not have been able to be stopped. And this cop knew exactly what they were doing. They forced me to limp out of that place. I went down to the Mill Creek, Snohomish County Sheriff's Department, and to get my $100 bill back that I gave a cop to give to my girlfriend. And next thing I know, I'm in the ambulance being brought to Providence. Providence said, you need surgery now to save your hip so you can walk again. So yeah, I've been more than terrorized. I've been actually, you know, victimized.
Well, you heard what they did to me, didn't you?
What
What he did to him.
The Snohomish County Sheriff broke into my house with a warrant signed by a guy who claimed to be a district court judge, but his name was James White. He was a municipal court judge from Edmonds. He signed the warrant as a district court judge. With that warrant, they broke into my house. They, when they went through the door, they 3 or 4 of them, I'm not too sure, pinned me up against my safe, where they broke several ribs in my back.
Oh.
They then dropped me to the floor and shackled me up, and they did knee drops on my back.
Jeez.
And broke all my ribs connected to my spine. They stood on my ankles, my knees, and my elbows. We're talking a 200-pound guy standing on your, and bouncing up and down with his boots on your ankles, your knees, and your elbows. They took me outside, got me up against a fence, and they stuck a billy club up underneath my rib cage. And they picked me up off the ground about 8 or 9 times until I passed out, causing a 4-centimeter hole between my hepatic and my portal vein. I'm the only case in medical history that wasn't found by autopsy.
Holy shit. That's how they raped my girlfriend. They raped her with, billy clubs.
They also kicked me in the liver and fractured my liver in 2 pieces. Okay? When they stuck the handcuffs on me, they put them on as tight as they could get them. Then they backed me up to an SUV and smacked each of my handcuffs they smacked with a mag light and caused crush fractures in both of my wrists.
You know, how long are they going to get away with this? They raped my girlfriend at billy clubs for 10 hours in the back of a van, spit on her, used her as an ashtray, and
Does she have any names?
no, they all wore masks. They said they're SWAT, so.
Trust me, she recognized their voices after 10 hours.
Yeah, right.
She would spot their voices blindfolded.
Yeah, she's scared stiff.
Yeah, I understand that, but, you know, she needs to go to the FBI.
Actually, I went down to the FBI because I have a material that used to surround our bed that shows the stud pattern through the walls of the head of our bed, and you can see where directed energy weapons were used on us. And this material is very, very compelling once you see it. I went to the FBI with this material because after the rape of my girlfriend, this is before
What do you mean? What is the material? What are you talking about?
It's actually a material that you use for matting for underneath wood flooring, the pergola floor. It's a pad with a reflective material on the outside. Well, the reflective material melted, and all you see is the pad, but you see the stud patterns on the wall.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I got some good stuff, and I have material that showed, well, the 60 blank SD cards showed my neighbors being from, you know, right in front of my house.
How far away from your house is there what looks like a big cell phone tower?
Oh, well, they're all over. I got them on the apartment buildings, you know, 2 blocks down.
Yeah, but no, this is a little bigger than that.
You mean like, we have probably about 4 miles.
Okay. And is there a house within, say, 100 feet to 300 feet, 300, you know, within 100 yards to 300 yards? Is there a house that could be adversarial to you?
Oh, yeah, it's the house behind me. These people would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning watching the experimental aircraft flying over Lake Washington that I have on film. They'd be up at night, you know, the whole neighborhood was up at night. In fact, when we got lobotomized, both my girlfriend and I, that whole neighborhood at 8 o'clock at night was either in their front windows, on their deck, on the roofs.
When you got what?
We got lobotomized.
And how did they cut your head open and get
well, with the energy weapons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we walked out in a daze. I looked around and there's people for 3 blocks in Sheridan Heights in Lake Forest Park. For 3 blocks. These are manicured yards. No one works. They all have nice cars. For 3 blocks, these people were outside as witness, just to show that they all know and to intimidate. 3 blocks down, they're still out in their front yards.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This material is the evidence of the decade. No one. It shows the stud pattern of the walls. You can't make this up. I can't produce enough heat outside to make the reflection of or melt the material inside to the stud pattern of the walls.
That's freaky. That makes me think I should, you know, hang some shit too, because I've been, you know, I've had all kinds of health problems, man.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, you know, I shouldn't be alive because of the fractured liver and the hole in my chest. But you know, that's not all they did to me. They, you know, they worked me over for hours. They dislocated my shoulder, my elbows.
Well, I have a Sergeant Sorensen investigating this, and it took me 3 weeks to get that film. That guy had more excuses, the manager of that La Quinta Hotel on 128th. He had more excuses of why he was not there those 3 weeks that I've ever heard in my life after managing a riot.
Holy shit! You stayed at La Quinta?
No, La Quinta on 120th, only one night, my friend. I never went back. But, you know, it's the fact is that, you know, no one called the cops. They just showed up.
Yeah. Well, I had them. I mean, I was at the Blockbuster Video in Everett, and I had a cop drive through the parking lot and then park and come in. And he said, there's a $10,000 warrant for your arrest. You're coming with me. And I said, well, go get it. If you got the warrant, let me see it. It's in my car. I said, well, go get it. He said, you're coming with me. And I said, not unless you got the warrant. Well, he pulled his gun on me in the Blockbuster Video and says, you're coming with me. You're under arrest.
Holy shit.
I said, well, I guess, yeah, I don't want to get shot. So I went with him out in front of the Blockbuster. He roughed me up pretty good, and messed my hand up really bad, and broke a bone in my wrist, and then threw me in the back of his car, and also handcuffed my friend that was with me at the Blockbuster video. Randy Rowe was the guy's name, and they handcuffed Randy and roughed him up, and then he calls he called up this dispatcher. I'm here to confirm this warrant for Riggin. She goes, warrant not confirmed. There is no warrant.
Oh, wow.
So they unhandcuffs me, takes me out of the car, and says, you were never under arrest. This is not an arrest. You were never arrested. I said, listen, asshole, you told me on camera in the Blockbuster video 17 times, I counted, before I got out the door, before you forced me out the door in handcuffs, you told me I was under arrest 17 times.
Wow.
So what did he do? Then he sent me a ticket in the mail for driving while license suspended. Well, I've never had a license.
Huh.
Okay, and in the state of Washington, under Aberdeen versus Cole, the state Supreme Court says they cannot suspend a privilege you've never had. You know, and the Department of Licensing actually sent me a license in the mail years ago, like back in the 80s. And I sent them a request saying, please provide me a signed copy of the application for this privilege, because I've never had one.
Wow.
And I've never filled out an application for one. So show me your signed copy. Well, they couldn't. So I said, well, I'm sorry, but I can't accept the license that A, doesn't have my picture on it, and B, I've never applied for it.
Yeah.
Because their plan was they're going to send me a license in the mail and then suspend it.
You know, it's funny you say that because I just got a ticket for, it said final notice from the city of Edmonds saying that I had no proof of license, etc. for $600. I never even got the ticket.
Well, if you look up the court rule, the court rule clearly says they cannot charge that much. It says they can charge $300, but they can, and they can charge less, but they can't charge more.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember
they add these PSEAs and GIS fees, which are illegal. They can't do that on a traffic infraction.
If I may add, I just went through my 7th year of court for Social Security because I'm an experimental subject on my back. I have degenerative disc disease. I used to be crippled, now I can do somersaults. And Social Security, I went there, 2 weeks ago? I've already been told by my microwave auditory effect or Frey effect or voice to skull, which says that I've been denied Social Security, and I want this on record before I get the official word. And I also just got a bill in the mail for the domestic violence.
Everybody gets denied Social Security. I got
7 years.
How many times?
7 years.
Right, but I mean, how many times have you been denied?
Probably about 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people. Do you have a doctor saying you're disabled?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, these guys are the Social Security. These guys are the all ruling. You have to remember, I've also got a bill in the mail with the domestic violence that is now reopened since we're being microwaved to death on a fast pace. Wow. I reopened my case after the rape and threats to my children. I decided to go with the decision. I weaked out because everyone told me to, but then I reopened it. They already sent me the bill before the decision has been done, saying you're guilty, you owe this much, before I even got a decision on it.
Well, they have that decision way before you do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they had that decision at their meeting with the prosecutors and all the judges.
Right. Well, we were just at Lake Forest Park trying to fight the tow bills that happened to me on the last two months that I lived there. They hung up some signs on this strip, and apparently the landlord of the hotel or the apartments, the tow truck company and the judge went into their little meeting room. Went in their meeting room and had a discussion before I was even, brought into the courtroom. I was guilty before even giving my ability to show that
You're
I
getting
was
less
innocent.
audible.
He can't hear you.
I say I was guilty because I you know, before I was even brought into the courtroom, all three of the people that were in on it, you know, had a meeting before I was even in the court. So, yeah, Lake Forest Park has a lot to hide. There's a lot of stuff going on in the north end of Lake Washington.
Right. Yeah, I used to know. I had a friend of mine lived over in that neck of the woods.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You should come out one night. I can show you some real fascinating things.
Huh.
But you got to remember, they get erased as fast as you get them. So, you know, I'm trying to get them on YouTube and stuff, but you know, we can't download anything because my computers break overnight. So.
Well, you just need to build yourself a Faraday cage.
Yeah, but what do? Live in a fairy cake bubble all the rest of your life, or you just die because?
Well, you know what? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing it.
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, you can do it inside your house without a whole lot of difficulty.
I'm telling you, I have something better than a Faraday cage.
What's that?
I found something better than a Faraday cage.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
What's
I don't
that?
want to say it on the air, but
okay.
It's soon coming out if I, you know.
But, you know, they also, it's not just that. They also use these extremely low-level waves, sonic waves as well, and Faraday cage don't help you for that.
Oh yeah, I've been told, you know, how does it feel like to have lupus? My girlfriend has had lupus for 30 years, and they tell me, you know, they showed me all the signs one day, and now I just can't even barely get out of it. Every joint hurts, I have fatigue up the yin-yang, I can't get anything done. You know, that's because I want to sue the landlord, and they kept me in bed for the last 2 weeks, so.
I can relate to that.
You sure can, can't you? It sounds like you were just one and the same with, you know, being beaten up to fatigue and all this other stuff. But yeah, I do have something that I'm soon coming out with to tell the world, or whoever wants to listen about how to protect themselves at night. I just got.
I knew something was wrong when they opened up the cell the first thing in the morning. You know what the first thing the guy said? Holy shit, this guy's still breathing.
Jesus.
First thing, everybody came and all the cops came and looked in the cell. This guy's alive.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, I was brought to the 7th floor.
They knew they fractured my liver, and nobody ever survived it until, I mean, the next day, most people died.
Will mentioned about you. I was on a $75 ticket. I was followed more than 5 miles by a Linwood cop, pulled over, put into a Shoreline cop car, and then brought down to King County Jail, put on my own floor, solitary confinement for a $75 ticket.
You know, Shoreline isn't even legally a city.
I did not know that.
They did everything illegal.
I'll tell you what, Shoreline.
They eminent domained a bunch of property. I mean, my cousin lives in Shoreline, and he's never been in Shoreline before. It was just unincorporated King County.
Yep.
For all his life.
Yep.
And you know, he lives not far from North Seattle, or the Ennis Arden area. And yeah, because he helped me out. I was up there and I was really sick. I mean, I was dying of liver failure because of, you know, what they did to me.
Jeez.
And I had all my blood going through a 20% piece of my liver, and it was going around to 80% chunk of my liver. And he realized I wasn't going to make it back to Colorado driving on my own, so he actually drove me all the way back to Colorado. Well, he took a wrong turn down a dead-end road in Wyoming, 19 miles down a dead-end road. And when he realized he hit the dead end, he had 2 vehicles with Wyoming plates that had to turn around behind him.
Oh, shit. Well, we're being told that we're getting...
It freaked his ass out, so he hasn't talked to me since. I can't blame him. But when he got home, he had a Shoreline cop sit out in front of his house for 24 hours a day for 7 days a week for over 3 months.
Why?
Across the street from his house. Why?
Yeah.
Ask them. Probably to intimidate him.
Right.
And scare him.
Right.
Which it worked, because he won't talk to me anymore because, you know, they scared the shit out of him.
Well, yeah, I had a lawyer all lined up for this cop beating thing on me. It was on film. It's on film. It has to be. And the next, he was all excited one day, met him, gave him the copy of it. The next day he called up and says, I'm out. You know, I'm like, he was all over it. He wanted to.
Oh, I had a law firm that was going to take the case, my case here in Colorado, and they were all gung-ho, had the whole firm working on it. And then out of the blue, the head attorney called me up and said, I was told that if I'd handled your case, it was the last case I had ever handled in this state.
Nice.
Wow.
He says, I lose my bar card, so I can't handle your case.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you have to do everything on pro se.
Well, you know, here's the thing. In this state, and it's probably not any, it's probably the same in a lot of other states. In this state, if you follow the letters of the rules, you completely follow the rules and you follow the statutes, and you file removal to the state Supreme Court, you'll be denied before you even get home.
Yep.
Because they teach only paralegals and lawyers certain things that aren't in the rules and aren't in the statute books. And if you don't do those certain things, you lose automatically. But if you read the statutes and the rules, you won't find them. They're not there.
Yeah, wow. And ignorance is no excuse for the law, or whatever that saying is.
Well, the thing is, most people don't realize that you're under martial law. Because the RCW, what the hell, see if I can remember that one. 1-69-
19- blah blah blah.
Yeah, but I had it here for quite a while.
Don't worry, I got Alzheimer's kicking in real hard lately.
But yeah, that statute basically said that as of I think it was November of '43 or '42, but that when when the war was declared, that all civilians and civilian law is under military jurisdiction. And if you go to try to find where the word represented by a lawyer means, where do you find that in the Washington State RCW code? Is in the codified version of the UCMJ. The only people that have a right to be represented by a lawyer are military, people that are going through a military courts martial.
Oh wow.
And everybody else has a right to assistance of counsel. Well, is that the same as being represented by an attorney?
I wouldn't think so.
No, assistance of counsel means you're active and present in your own defense,
right.
And you have somebody that's there to assist you and help you prepare documents and so on and so forth,
right.
And help argue if necessary, whatever you direct them to assist you with.
Right.
But that's what it's supposedly for. But they've eliminated that and replaced it. See, the federal law says you have a right to assistance of counsel, or you have a right to act pro se and represent yourself, or you have a right to be represented by an attorney. That's what the federal law says. So is the assistance of counsel the same as the right to be represented by an attorney?
No.
Evidently not, because they wouldn't list them separately, would they?
No. In fact, I was in court the other day for my shoreline court, and I had to just stop my attorney in his tracks and say, listen, Judge, this is
Were you in the Judge Robert Wacker building?
I used to play soccer with this kid.
I won a case in '97 for possession of marijuana.
Good for you.
Based on a medical need for it. I had a prescription from my doctor for marijuana.
Nice.
Because the Marinol that was the only medication that kept me alive was $1,800 for 90 pills.
Gosh.
Jesus.
With a copay, I got it for $1,400 for 90 pills.
What a deal.
Wow.
But, my doctor said, there's no way you can afford this medication. I couldn't afford it, he said. And so he wrote me a prescription for marijuana. And I used that in the Shoreline District Court to beat the charges they had against me. And Judge Robert Wacker was the judge. And I think it was the prosecutor was a guy named Smith, who I think is probably judge now.
As Whacker is.
Because I think Whacker's gone.
Yeah, Whacker's dead. Yeah, they cleaned it up.
He was a good guy, though. And although they tried like hell to beat me, I had this doctor's thing, and I also wrote a brief called the Ultimate User Brief that said under the statutes dating back to when they first made marijuana illegal, they had an exemption for somebody who is an ultimate user, somebody with a prescription from a doctor. And so, and mine was on a prescription tablet. And my doctor was one of the few doctors that was able to write a Schedule I drug prescription. He's also a professor at the UW, I think.
Now about that, congratulations. Well, you know, I did a show for Discovery Channel. What was it, Firecracker Films came up for 3 days to film me in my house and my neighborhood and stuff. And when I handed them the 2 chips that came out of the back of my head that gave me smell and taste back after 8 months of losing them, I knew at that point, as soon as I handed those chips to Dr. John Hall, he flew up from Texas, I said, you'll never see this film on Discovery. I said, what a mistake. One of those moments you knew right then you did a mistake by handing him a chip. And what they found out is titanium was in those chips. So, you know, no matter what we do, we go forward, we try to, you know, expose. They always have, you know, a rebuttal or a new law being built. I just heard last night after going to a meeting that you could be 10 years in prison for suing a judge, liening a judge for real property or what have you.
Well, right. You can actually lien the judge's bond, and they can't do shit.
Oh, they're
but
bonded.
If you lien his
they're
real
bonded.
property, they can't. What's that?
They're bonded. Oh, that's neat. Okay.
Yeah. Well, some of them are, but
right.
Here in Colorado, none of the judges are bonded, which is against their own state law.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to give a rat's ass. They do shit. I mean, I had a judge here in Colorado tell me on December 8th, this last December, that I was going to be tried and sentenced, and there was nothing I could say or do about it.
Wow, that's just amazing.
And I said, aren't you getting a little ahead of yourself, man? She goes, what are you talking about? I said, where I come from.
That is
So where
deep.
I come from, you have to be convicted of something before you're sentenced.
Well, like I said, 5 years in court. I haven't had 1 day in court yet.
Well, hey, you know
How's that
what?
work?
We're out of studio time today. We'd like to thank you guys for calling in. Kurt Riggin, Kikiallus, tribal chief, federal lawyer, tribal lawyer, and judge.
Derek Robinson, Freedom. Derek, are you still there?
Derek, are you still there?
Derek, Freedom, he must not be. Anyway,
Derek's the president of Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. I represent 3 states, Oregon, Washington, Idaho.
and real quick, Sharon, one last statement. Go ahead, just one last statement.
Don't drink the water?
Yeah, don't drink the water.
Versus West End.
Well,
Yes.
drink the right water,
Drink-
hydroxy water.
Yes,
The new
yes.
By
technology.
the way, lawyer, I'm the first person in the United States to win a case with voice-to-skull technology and police harassment.
Can I
All
ask
right,
you
cool. We gotta get out of
look
here.
for
Thank you.
a lawyer
Good
for
luck,
my
guys.
Thanks,
sister?
Walker.
Well, check out John Worthington versus West End, recent Supreme Court decision, and they said, you know, that the county prosecutor and the county sheriff cannot put together a private corporate entity that is not subject to public disclosure, especially considering since it's publicly funded.
Wow.
And it's a good case for your state, you know, and it says that they're now subject to public disclosure when they've been getting away with not disclosing shit,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
So whereabouts in Denver you live?
What's that?
Whereabouts in Denver? I'm coming down.
Ron, don't walk away.
Hey, man, we've got to get out of
You
here.
gotta
get
Let's
out
get the fuck
Yes.
out.
Sorry about that.
All right, well,
Well, we almost are, so go ahead and ask Kurt real quick. Kurt, microphone.
Hi, Kurt. I'm looking for a lawyer to bring my sister's case back to Washington
yeah.
because there's fraud involved
I'm
here,
in
insurance
hospice care,
fraud.
So that ain't me. Sorry, doll. And that's a tough one. That's a tough one because you know, it's hard to find a decent lawyer that's going to take any kind of case where they're taking a risk. And with that, they're taking a risk.
All right. Well,
You know, but your best bet is to get into the public eye.
That's-
Get your story out there.
yes.
You know, maybe even write a book about it, self-publish.
Yeah, her. She has a website, but I'm trying to find some people to go before.
Yeah, your best bet is to get the word out, and somebody may come to you and say, hey, you know, we're doing a case a lot like yours, and, you know, they may want to join yours with another case, and that could be your best bet.
Okay.
You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's, you know, the corruption in almost all the states it's as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's as bad as it gets, but I got a feeling it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yes.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching All Day Live. This is Will Wilson, All Day Live. Excuse me.
Well, we got a helicopter flying
thank
over
you,
there.
Kurt. Thank you for watching, everybody. I think I'm looking at the right camera. And we'll see you next week. Thank you. And get back to
All right,
everybody.
guys. Watch out for the helicopters overhead.
There we go. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Kurt. Thank you, Derek. We are recording.
Okay.
My goodness, what an environment here. I mean, behind us, in front of us, and in the future of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever future of us all is. Dave, this is Dave?
Yes,
David. David. Hi, we are probably may be televising. Richard McNeese is here. And we got Matthew behind the camera.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today?
Great. Beautiful.
Now they're probably looking back at you through that little TV thing you got there.
Yeah.
So think about it. They're looking back at you while you're looking at us. Think about that.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought of that. I'm sure I've been told that's a fact. But
They're looking back at you.
Yeah.
They're looking back through the.
Yeah.
Back through the.
Exactly.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, we hope so. If they aren't, it's all like pointless. I mean, just.
I was told those little infrared devices on the toilets that do auto flush are cameras. What do they need to know? I mean, they got to look up. I mean, come on. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, believe it or not, that's what I was.
The cameras.
I
like that. I like that.
Wouldn't you like to be hired by them and have to do that all day?
Oh, yeah.
Hey Dave, you were talking about how the Teamsters might. Let's go into what you guys were thinking about on how we can regulate and maybe get the taxation figured out. Can you describe a little bit what we were talking about there, what we were talking about earlier?
We were talking about another approach.
Can the sound pick up, David? You might not.
Boy, I'm not sure. There's a red thing
Can you hear me
flashing.
okay?
It's turned up all the way.
Yeah, I think you can, but I don't.
Speak up.
Anyway, we're talking about the limitations of the current approach. The limitations of the current approach, it has to do with our ability to get people who don't have a direct interest in cannabis to see the benefit for them. Now, a lot of these people do see the benefit in terms of their families, their friends, getting the police off the backs of all these people that currently they don't have a problem, but they aren't doing it themselves.
Right.
They don't have an interest themselves. And when we talk to people that don't, we got to remind them that the energy that's directed towards this, the effort that right now is represented by cash that goes to cartels, that energy will be redirected elsewhere with the end of prohibition. This is the goal here, is to redirect that energy elsewhere. And one of the barriers keeping prohibition in place right now is that too many people don't understand how that energy is going to reflect on them. And we were just talking about how the Teamsters, it's natural that as products get shipped, that Teamsters will be shipping them, and that they want to see more products shipped. And it's not necessarily the shipment of the cannabis itself. It may be grown and consumed by the people who grow and consume it. There may not be much economic activity reflected on that after a while, after it all becomes legal. We don't know what portion of people are going to be willing to grow versus the convenience of just buying it. We do know that a huge proportion of people are interested in growing it. that they feel it should be their right, and they're interested in it right now. This is once again where the Teamsters come in. They're going to be buying all the supplies, fixing up their houses, getting more efficient energy so they can do it without busting their budget. There's all sorts of opportunities that come with this that people aren't thinking through. I mean, they're thinking through the opportunity of Starbucks. You know, oh, we're going to have another Starbucks. Oh, I'm going to have a high-class Starbucks where instead of paying, you know, $5 for a latte, oh, fuck, the guy goes and drops, you know, $50, $100 when they visit that place.
Correct.
You know, and so, of course, these guys are on this like anything. You know, who wouldn't be? But this is going to go away. It needs to go away because we don't need to be directing people's money out of their own budgets that way. It's exploitive of the cannabis consumer. And that those of us that understand how it works, we have a kind of responsibility to spread our knowledge and to help people. This is where I'm kind of an anti-monopolist, and I believe that the economy grows greater for greater participation of different groups of people with a different approach and different history or goals even. If we get all those people involved, we're going to get products that we never imagined. And I'm not just talking about, you know, the flowers and the extracts and stuff. You're going to have all sorts of creams, the edible thing. It's a class of food products now. As the other subject of how we're going to regulate all this stuff is how we can have safety from contaminants, a knowledge equality, and not be asking for an oppressive government burden at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's our creativity, right?
Yeah.
That we've got to come up with ideas to how we can work together to see that this stuff happens. If it happens, everybody's happy.
What was it you mentioned about taxation being part of the state tax, meaning taxation should cover the testing?
Well, when a product enters the market, and this we have a thing in this state called a bill of lading. Any commercial agricultural product leaves the property where it was produced. The truck that carries it off that property's got a bill of lading, says where that came from. And this means that all of our agricultural products have traceability back to their source.
Sure.
And this is how it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be this way. And so to make it that way, right, to make it that way, then you have to have a gateway where the stuff enters the market to be safe, to be inspected. And so states have come up with agricultural inspection stations. This is not a new concept. And this is old concept.
Yeah.
And I like to remind people about one of our neighbors down in Issaquah, Dairy Gold, which is a farmers cooperative.
Yeah.
And, you know, each individual farmer couldn't have their own ice cream factory, you know, or their own butter factory. They couldn't afford it. But banding together, they could. And so banding together, you can contract for these testing services. And at the same time, why not have some kind of established public farmers markets? The private farmers markets have been a great marketing deal.
Right.
They've been hugely successful.
Right.
Why are we having each of these vendors pay money to some private individual when they could be paying to the municipality or paying to wherever they're located to authorize that activity, and then at the point that they take in the product, like I said, the gateway, you then measure it out, hold it in escrow, test it, figure the taxes on it, pay the taxes on the spot. Taxes are paid on the spot by the person that purchases off of the farmer.
Nice.
That was well said.
That was really well. Thank you.
Well said. Bravo.
I know that I'm going to try and get you in studio here for All Day Live. This is kind of a, didn't know happened mid-time, but I wanted to get to know you, Dave, because there's a great deal of respect for you on this. So you don't mind talking to the Teamsters Union about what you just mentioned again?
No, I'd love to.
And then I'll show this little clip for next week, kind of a reminder. Oh, by the way, and they need guidance in this too. They don't really know what they're doing either.
I'd love to work with them. I love the Teamsters. I've had friends that are Teamsters. I know the story, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
That we're all in this together. And,
absolutely.
you know, it's when you start talking solidarity, you start talking about people working together to make things happen.
Yeah.
And it's not like anybody's going to own this. We're not going to let some little group of people own what belongs to all of us. And Teamsters, more than a lot of people, understand this.
And they would help write the laws and regulations for all the states, which it could very easily do. Create this industry nationwide overnight.
Like I was saying about the bill of lading, you know, they understand this stuff.
Yeah.
You know that everything comes from somewhere.
Well, Billy Clinton, when he helped create the NAFTA and CAFTA, man's brilliant. He wrote the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, built into that act, where if you notarize something, which is grandfathered in under the contract and under the international trade programs, and let's say your CIA or NSA rendition flights got sidelined in some country, and you wanted to get your rendition stuff back from whatever it was that you went through the Sarbanes-Oxley Act and went into the jurisdiction, because all these countries are part of NAFTA and CAFTA, and you could literally show the notary, which overrides, according to the Act, the U.S. Senate, and you could get all your drugs back. He wasn't stupid. The guy was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, truly.
You have to look into this.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to look into
That was something that was very unique about Bill Clinton. People thought he was brilliant. As 185 IQ was real. He was that smart. He was. He is. I mean, I commend him. And he's also, no matter how, villainous or whatever the guy claimed he was, he's one of those people you can't hate, and I'll say that. It's true. Yeah, you can't hate him.
He had charisma.
He had
a charisma.
Right.
That's
right.
why everybody loved him.
Right.
Even though he was a bad guy.
Right. I agree.
But he had charisma.
Yeah.
And that's why
I know.
He's
He's unbelievable charisma. I agree. Hey, thanks a lot, Dave. Next week, or we'll get ready for being in studio, or we'll already listen to this in studio. Who knows? But it'll be on TV, hopefully. And I appreciate that for future input. We'll listen to what you just said in the studio to get up to speed on when we get talking.
Glad we got it out. This will be fun to expand on.
And I'll show this to the Teamsters guys when they come in. They'll see that we just said, and we'll go from there. You ready?
Sounds great.
You ready, guys?
Yeah.
Yep. Ready? Okay. All right, get ready. Here we are. We'll cover that next time. Thanks for watching All Day Live. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you much. Thank you. And please, all of you, please send me an email.